Welcome to the apocalypse. It is post-apocalyptic month here at B-Movie Euphoria. We'll be showing post-apocalyptic films all month long at the Harbor Cinema. We didn't do it last week, but we'll be doing it. And I'll be watching. In addition to that, I'll be watching some more post-apocalyptic films. How many are there out there, you ask? Or maybe you don't ask. But anyway, there are a lot out there because Escape from New York came out. And, of course, Mad Max came out. The Road Warrior as well. And I think something clicked in Italy where they were like, we can make these movies really cheaply and we could just pump them out. And people will go and see them and pay the same ticket price as they paid for Escape from New York or The Road Warrior or Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome to a lesser degree. And we can make these because all you really need in a post-apocalyptic film is a bunch of shit laying around and maybe some dirt bikes and some ATVs and some ripped up clothing. You got post-apocalypse right there. Maybe add some, scarring for nuclear mutation, and you've got yourself a movie. So the Italian producers really jumped on this idea and made a shit ton of them. So that is mainly what I'm going to be focusing on. And the first week of January, we watched 2019 After the Fall of New York. And it was really a lot of fun and really goofy, and I enjoyed it. It was my first time seeing it, but that is not the movie we're going to be watching today. Today we're going to go 1 year into the future, and it's just as bad. We are going to 2020 Texas Gladiators. How do I get that? There we go. And so, what do we kind of ascertain from the title? It takes place in 2020, so far in the future. It takes place in Texas, and we know this because there are a few people in this film that have cowboy hats. So it's Texas, and the Gladiators. What we have right off the bat is so I started watching this movie about a year ago, and I kind of shut it off immediately just because it was extremely unpleasant from the get-go. So they were not fucking around in this movie at all. So the movie starts off with it looks like a church in ruins, and there are these green-faced mutants attacking a priest and a couple nuns, and the priest ends up getting crucified on a cross, and one of the nuns starts getting attacked, let's say, and that really turns me off in a movie right away, and I was really disturbed by it. And then there's another nun, she's watching everything happen, and she's basically, fuck this, she takes a piece of glass and slits her throat, but then even as she's dying, one of the mutants comes up to her and starts, you get what I'm saying. It grossed me out from the word go, and I did not like it. So it starts off with that, and then we see our gladiators, which are 5 guys. Let me see if I can remember their names. I think one of them is named Jab. I'm pretty sure. Here we go. We got Halacron. We got Jab. And we have Nesis and Red something. Red Wolf. And then finally, the baddie of the group and our antagonist, our main antagonist, our villain is, oh fuck, what is his name? Catchdog. I don't know how I forgot Catchdog, but somehow I forgot it. Anyway, so these gladiators are, I don't know what they're waiting for, but they jump out of the shadows after all this shit has gone down and, kill the shit out of everyone. And so after I forced myself through that beginning, and kept watching, it starts getting kind of good, and like the fight scenes are really good, and the death scenes are very well done, and you kind of fall into it. It's just like they really, really were trying to, in the first moments of this film, weed out the people that can't handle this kind of shit, because they're like, this is gonna be going on, this heavy fucked up stuff is going to be going on throughout the movie. So if you can't handle this, you need to turn it off now. But I made it through, and what happens immediately after they kill the mutants is Catchdog. They come upon some more survivors, and Catchdog finds this woman, and immediately he tries to, get all up on her, and the rest of the group, to their credit, are like, "Get the hell out of here! You're out of the Gladiator boys." But honestly, why the fuck? Why didn't they kill him? They realize he's bad. He's just as bad as these other scumbag mutants, warriors out there. Kill him! Kill him! And I guess because of their code, their gladiator code, which they don't really get into, they just let him go, and they kind of, see you later. So after that, Nissus starts talking to the woman that they rescued, and they have this very heartfelt conversation about how, violence kind of begets violence, and there is no, there's really no justice if everyone's killing each other. Even if you're killing for the right reasons, you're still killing. And I was like, oh, holy shit, somebody put a message in this film. And then all of a sudden, we switch to Nisus and this girl that they saved, Maila, in this kind of idyllic farm. They live in kind of a community all of a sudden because they found their little slice of heaven, and they're living there. They're mining this natural energy somehow. They took over some sort of power plant, and so they have this really nice community, and they're living there. But what has to happen, what does happen, is Catchdog and his group attack and start, killing everybody. But Nisus's group is pretty damn good, and they manage to fight them off. So Catchdog and his evil group, wander off, but they come back with this group called the New Order. No, not the band that made Blue Monday. This is a Nazi thing. And so they show up, and a bunch of soldiers pile out of a SWAT team van and come up with these shields that at first glance I'm like, am I missing something? Is there glass? Is there supposed to be glass in between those giant holes in the shield? No, there's nothing. It's just empty space. And then they come up, on this group, this peaceful group, and they start shooting with laser guns. And whenever the peaceful group starts shooting back, it just bounces right off. So these shields that they can basically, the bad guys can shoot through, deflect all bullets. And they say later that it's like a thermal shield, and so you have the idea that, no bullets can penetrate. So basically they take over Nisus's group. They tie him up and make him basically watch while one of them attacks his, now love and mother of his child, and we have to watch more of this shit. And I almost turned it off again because it's really not what I want to see in a film. Anyway, so that happens. He wakes up the next day. He's completely messed up, and he's still like tied up, having had to watch that stuff go on. And then we finally meet the leader of this Nazi group that they call like the Dark Man or something. And he's just basically he's in a Nazi uniform. So he's a Nazi. They're not even trying to make him like a future Nazi. He's just a big old Nazi. Anyway, so he's this very he's bald. He has this very like just over the top evil expression all the time. He's just like, "You will listen to us. We are the new world order, and you shall be our slaves. All men and women will be segregated, and you will..." And just a lot of shit like that. So Nisus wakes up, somehow unties himself extremely easily, and then makes it out of there, sees his wife, well, his common law wife, let's say, and his daughter being held behind the shields and behind, new German Nazi man. And he's like, "No!" And he jumps over the shields. And I think he manages to kill one guy. He kills the guy that attacked her. And then he gets shot up himself. Okay, Nisus is dead. Now, from there, we go on to this bar where it's basically the scene out of Deer Hunter where it's a group of guys in a circle and they're all doing the Russian roulette and like putting up to their or eventually and then we see another one of the gladiators is in here. Our friend Helicron, who is played by none other than Peter Hooton. So a lot of people might not know who he is, but he was also in the original Inglourious Basterds, not the Quentin Tarantino redo. And he also played the original, the first Doctor Strange. So there was a Doctor Strange TV movie back in the 70s, and Peter Hooton played Doctor Strange. So he was the first Doctor Strange before Benedict Cumberbatch. So, yeah, he's really good in this. And once we get into Helicron's story, and Helicron's still hanging out with all the other gladiators, Red Wolf and Jab, and they're still very tight. And so he starts playing Russian roulette with this main guy for the ownership of we find out it's Maila. These are a lot of weird names. I'm sorry. It's Maila, who is the wife of our friend Nisus, who was just killed. Anyway, so he's playing for her, for ownership of her, and that game ends up going south, and they have to fight it out in this bar. And there's a rootin' tootin', 6-shooting, good old Texas brawl in this here bar, and everybody's getting shart. Not getting sharted on, but they're getting beaten up, and so they get in trouble. The two gladiators that are in the bar end up getting sent to the mines, which they don't really explain what the mines are, but basically from that point on they have to start, getting rocks and whatever. This part of the story isn't very interesting. They're basically slaves for a while until they decide after one guy can't, get up to get a drink of water, his one allotted drink of water of the day, they stand up for him. Jab and Helicron stand up for him and then do an uprising. Then all of a sudden, Red Wolf comes in and gets them out of there, and they escape. Oh man, there's a lot left in this movie, and anyway, so they get out of there, all of them, and including Mila, who was somewhere else, and they escape anyway. Catch Dog. There's a lot of people escaping, and then people attacking them, and then people escaping, and then people attacking. But it's all done. It's all filmed very nicely, so I didn't really mind. There was a lot of fun. Anyway, let's skip ahead to the end because it all has to come to a head with Halacron and Mila and Red Wolf and Jab. Everybody's getting shot. There's kind of like a love with two people, with Mila and Halacron because he's like the new guy. But the reason why I am recommending this film, why I moved beyond just being straight up disgusted by all the assault in this film, is that the lead female character, uh, she's not very well acted, but the character is super strong. So this is a woman that was first rescued by the Gladiators, um, and then had to be rescued by the Gladiators from one of their own, then ended up living a nice little life, then getting attacked and having her husband killed in front of her, had to go through all these like horrible things, was sold off as a slave, lost her daughter, and then throughout the movie she becomes this incredible badass where she's killing people left and right. She doesn't give a fuck anymore. She just wants to find her daughter, and she's like, I want to be, back together with her, and that's her main goal. So we have someone with a purpose, and it is Mila, and she is, despite not being very well acted, she's an actual strong character in this fucking movie, and she is the person we all root for, and that is wonderful because there are a lot of terrible people in this film, and it does make you feel like this is like the end of the world, and it's very slimy. This bar that they're playing Russian roulette in, that's probably the sleaziest place because there are people, throwing stuff around, and this bar just serves sloppy joes, and that's it. And that's not a good establishment. If you're going to have a bar, even in post-apocalyptic world, you need to have more than just sloppy joes. Okay? Put some chicken tenders on there. Um, put some onion rings, whatever. Sloppy joes. And you know what? I bet that's not even grade A beef. I bet that's human beef. Think about it. Anyway, so I'm not going to tell you the ending, but it's satisfying. And it made the whole yucky trip worth it. And this is a solid entry into the Italian exploitation post-apocalyptic genre. I would recommend it. Maybe not as much as, say, Escape the Bronx or The Bronx Warriors or, any other other movie with New York in the title. But this is very interesting because they set it in Texas and they tried to make it kind of Texan. They put some Native Americans in there who end up defeating the Nazis because they still use bow and arrows. There's the fatal flaw in the Nazis, future Nazis' shields, is that they have huge holes in them and they deflect bullets, but nothing else. So they're throwing spears, they're throwing like knives at them, and they just go right through because these holes in the shields are huge. So it's like, you guys gotta think when you're making your stuff, okay? It's not. Also, it's the future, so eventually people are gonna run out of bullets, but you invest in these shields that it's just, they weren't thinking, and that's ultimately their downfall, or is it? You know, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but I think you have a good idea. Anyway, that's all for today, and thank you for watching. This might just be our future. Think about it, won't you? Thank you.